modest event. Blaine said the only thing that's humble here is him. This event is. But then they both felt a strong fear. The king touched his heart, and I thought that an almost palpable thirst for blood. It's not even aimed at him yet. Vincent felt sick and fell to his knees. He clutched at his throat and wondered what was going on. The royal family's guards told them to come here. Priscilla told the guards not to worry about her, to protect the children. The king also prepared to defend himself. He asked that who dared to attack the royal family. He should show up. But it was all Arthur's doing. He immediately stopped and thought that he had lost control of himself. Then everything stopped. Ellie was crying, and Alice was comforting her. Vincent also felt better, and he asked what happened. Then Ray burst in along with Adam and Jasmine, who asked if everything was okay here. Security said yes. They should search the room and check the surroundings. Rise commanded and his team that up. Arthur mentally apologized to his father. Then they began to search the whole room. Arthur mentally asked Sylvia if she was okay. At this time, a man came and said that he was reporting to His Highness. Captain Lewin has just detained an uninvited guest. Blaine asked, "What is it like? Does that mean that everything is fine?" Arthur was surprised and asked that everything was just like that, but simple, and mentally thanked that uninvited guest. His sacrifice was not in vain. They both exhaled and thought they were safe now. Then the guards turned to Sebastian and asked that how could the royal poppy fall on its ass because of a little intimidation from an uninvited guest. Another guard supported him and said yes, that's how he's going to die soon. Sebastian said he slipped, that's all, and he looked at Arthur, but then immediately turned away. The man who leads this event thanked everyone for their service, and he said that, and now let the show go on. Here next to him is the last lot of today's event. Tradition demands that the best subject be left for last, and he is not one to neglect them. He will also be the lucky one who manages to acquire this treasure. Then they opened the cage, and the man said that it was the child of the world lion. A little information for those who do not know this magnificent mana beast. An adult world lion has the opportunity to become a powerful mana beast in the class. He dares to say that if he is well taken care of, that young beast can reach a class. Arthur kept on watching this Sebastian and thought that this jerk wasn't even paying attention to the other mana beast. The man said that they all know what it means. Caring and careful attitude to this beautiful animal will allow its owner to become a legendary animal tamer. The bet starts from 500 gold. After the woman said that 550, male 600. The next man is 650. After that it was 750 and 800. And the last bet that was it was 1,000. It was made by the king. The man said 1,000 gold coins from His Highness. Vincent told Blaine that no one seemed to want to bargain with their king. So he congratulates him in advance. 1 white gold plate will be more than enough, and I will thank the king for his generosity. He asked what his plans were for the new royal pet. Will he tame it himself? Blaine said that as tempting as it was for him to have a connection with him, he was thinking about giving it to Curtis. This, of course, all depends on how much effort he puts in. Curtis immediately got up and told his father that he would do everything in his power. Priscilla told her son that this meant that she wouldn't have to listen to his tutor anymore, how he was. But Curtis interrupted her and told her mother that she had said she wouldn't tell her father about it. Arthur thought that, looking at them his way, they almost seemed like a normal family. Vincent told the king that the auction was nearing its end, and asked him what he wanted him to collect into items and send them to him, didn't he? Blaine said it was nonsense, as if he has patience. Of course, they will go down with him. Vincent smiled and said that then let them follow him. Then Sebastian came up to the king and whispered something in his ear. Blaine told him that was enough, he understood everything. And Sebastian squinted at Arthur and smiled nastily. Arthur thought, why does he have a bad feeling about this? After which everyone went downstairs. Vincent said a servant would be here soon with their things, and asked Arthur to come over. Arthur came over, and Vincent said that this was all he asked for, except for the sword. He thinks it's best if he looks around here and tries to find something he likes. Then his mother came up to him and said that she would support it while he was looking for a sword. Arthur thanked his mother. Blaine was surprised and asked if he was really going to take fencing lessons. His son has also just started studying. Maybe one day they won't be able to arrange a friendly sparring between them two. Sebastian told the king that Prince Curtis would learn bad manners if he participated in sparring with some redneck. Arthur said he was flattered, but swords were just a hobby for him. He would never be able to even hope to reach his son's level. Ray was passing by here. He stopped and said that this is where Vincent is. Vincent told him to come here soon because the king wants to meet him. Ray bowed to the king and said that he apologized to her for the intrusion. Blaine said he shouldn't worry, because he had heard that he had caught this intruder. It seems that Vincent has found himself a reliable assistant. Ray said he wasn't worthy of such praise, he was just doing his duty. The king asked that he was Reynolds Lewin, wasn't he? And this is his son, right? Ray said yes and asked if something really happened. Blaine said that whether he sees it, Sebastian has been serving in the Royal Guard for many years, having helped their family countless times. For the excellent service he has rendered him consistently to his country, he feels the need to reward him from time to time. And it looks like he really liked his son's mana beast. Arthur immediately tensed up. The king said that if they provided his son's mana beast to the royal family, they would be doing the kingdom a great favor. Ray looked at his son and saw that Arthur was barely restraining himself. He was very scared and terrified. Ray wanted to say something, but the king interrupted him and said that, of course, he would be more than happy to compensate them for this mana beast, and to hire a magician in order to break the contract. I'm waiting for them with my son and a mana beast at their expense. Ray bowed to the king again and said he should apologize. Neither he nor his wife has anything to do with their son's mana beast. He got it himself, and that's why he can't speak on his behalf on this matter. Then the king looked at Arthur. Arthur scowled at the king. Then Sebastian jumped in and told Arthur that didn't his parents teach him to lower his eyes when he talks to those who are above him in status? But the king interrupted him, and he turned to Arthur himself, saying that he was sure that he had just heard their conversation with his father, so it would not be repeated. What does he think about this? In his arsenal there will surely be a sword worthy of any ambitious young knight. Arthur sighed and mentally tried to calm himself down. He thought that he was still the king of Sapin. He exhaled and said that he thanked him for the kind offer, but he had to refuse. Even the most magnificent sword can never replace Sylvie. Sebastian couldn't stand it and asked how dare he. But the king cut him short. Blaine said it was an exchange then. His world lion cub, which he bought with his mana beast. But then Curtis stepped in and said that he thought he would be his. But the father did not pay attention to his son and asked what about it. While their beasts does seem unique, reptiles rarely become as strong as real predatory mana beasts. Arthur barely restrained himself and asked for forgiveness for not being able to express himself clearly. He doesn't want to give, sell or exchange Sylvie. The king also restrained himself, and exhaling, said that he had asked him for a favor twice. His patience is running out. He asks for it one last time. Will he give up his mana beast? Arthur relaxed his fists and told the king, what then? Let him allow him to ask a question as well. How much is he willing to sell his children for? He asked him 3 times, and he refused all 3 times, but it seems that his pride does not allow him to accept his refusal. He doesn't seem to realize the seriousness of what he is being asked about. That is why he hopes that his question will clarify the situation. How much money will he demand in exchange for his son or daughter? Everyone froze in surprise and horror. Sebastian looked at the guard and he reacted immediately. He swung his sword at him and called him an uncouth bumpkin, and asked that how dare he insult the king and his family. Arthur immediately noticed him and thought that was he really concentrating all his mana in his sword? Was he going to cut him in half? You need to keep the flow of mana calm and even. Anticipate the enemy's movement and take control of the trajectory of his strike. After which, he easily dodged and drew his sword, and thought that to upset the opponent's balance and smash the opponent, using both his strength and his own momentum against himself. Then he hit the guard. Sebastian thought he was an idiot. Couldn't he even kill a child? He missed a great chance. Even if he is punished, he will take matters into his own hands. What the king doesn't understand is that a mana beast capable of forming an equal contract at such a young age means that it will eventually go beyond a class, should he get it. After which, he directed his power at him. But it didn't work out for Sebastian. He looked at his staff in surprise and asked what. But Arthur got up and said it was useless. Spells that need ambient mana in order to use them won't work. Sebastian was scared of him and shouted at him not to come near. Does he really consider himself a worthy opponent for a caster from the royal family? Arthur immediately approached him and asked what was in such a state. Yes, Sebastian was very surprised and asked what. Then Arthur broke his leg. Sebastian immediately fell down and, clutching his leg, began to shout that his leg. He asked someone to help him. Why is everyone just standing there? Can't anyone hear him? Arthur touched him on the shoulder and said that no one would hear him, so it was better for him to listen to him while he was still able to do it. Sebastian said he couldn't do it. He is the king's own personal spellcaster. Arthur got up and said that was it, but he must know his place. The king looked in surprise at Arthur, who had just taken down one of his guards. And I thought that as this child is a commoner, had his guard tripped over his own feet or something. But then he did not find it and thought that where did he go? But how did he end up there? But then everyone saw what happened to Sebastian's leg. Lily was frightened and hugged Ellie even more tightly. Everyone froze in horror and surprise. Sebastian kept asking them for help. Priscilla asked what he was doing. She ordered one of the guards to quickly examine Sebastian. And I told the other one to find and bring the emitter here immediately. Emitters are those magicians who have the ability to heal with what magic theorists here call light magic. Arthur was unconscious. Ray immediately approached him and began to listen to his heartbeat. But he didn't come to his senses, so Ray just picked him up. Alice began to heal her son with shaking hands. After some time, Arthur finally woke up. He immediately felt a sharp headache. He got up and thought, how did he get back to his room? The last thing he remembers is, that's right, he used static void. Apparently, he really overdid it. Thanks to Sylvia, he can use the static void from the moment he has reached the phase of acquiring her dragon will. With this ability, you can temporarily separate yourself from the flow of time. It allows you to turn the tide of the battle in your favor and is available to him only because he is Sylvia's successor. The receiver here means that the beast willingly transfers its mana core to the tamer. It is more difficult to assimilate the core, but if it succeeds, it will allow you to better understand the abilities of the beast. But there is a considerable price to pay for this. Despite years of training, He has the ability to use this ability only for a few seconds without feeling such a strong return. He exceeded his time limit and it was his first time using Static Void on another person. He collapsed on the bed again and thought that, all things considered, he thought he was lucky that it only ended with him falling unconscious. Then someone knocked on his door. Arthur thought it was Sylvie and said he would open it now. Together with Sylvia, his mother also came into the room, who said that she was sure that the doctor had said. But then she saw that her son had woken up. She hugged him and said that the doctor said that he most likely fainted from shock and would wake up soon. Although she has to say that the doctor used the word soon rather inappropriately. It's been almost 8 hours. Arthur thought he had her worried again. Then he felt a sharp pain again. Alice asked if something had really happened. He looks like he's in pain. And Chur said it was nonsense, but what happened after he lost consciousness? Alice said that no one was in their right mind, especially the children. That is why the king and his family have apologized. His father is now in the living room with the king's representative discussing what happened. Arthur got up and said that then he would go and see how they were down there. Alice said she was thinking of checking on Ellie and would sleep with her tonight just in case. And I asked my son what, but he's really fine. Arthur said he was already fine. So let her get some rest too. And he told Sylvie to go with her mom. Then he went downstairs. He heard his father say that and he tells them that this is not something that can be commented on with money. His son was almost killed. Then Arthur came into their room. His father was very glad to see him. Arthur said yes, as good as new. And he asked what was going on here. Ray said that the king's representative just threw a few coins as a token of apology from the king for this small incident. Ray was clearly very angry right now. The man got up and, turning to Arthur, said that he must be Arthur. The man introduced himself and said he was Jasper, and he is here on behalf of His Majesty to express his deepest condolences over what happened this afternoon. Arthur sat down next to his father and thought that he just needed to play a modest victim. He thanked Jasper for coming all this way. Jasper said that what good manners, he told his father most of what happened, but also wanted to convey to him that both people who attacked him were suspended from their posts. Ray said that, so let him clear it up. For the fact that they almost killed his son, the king slaps them in the face and waves goodbye. Jasper said that it would not hurt to notice that it was his son who inadvertently spoke out in the presence of His Majesty. Arthur told his father that everything was fine. Jasper was right. Was he out of his depth too? Besides, he's not injured. They just need to get it over with. And speaking of wounds, he asked Jasper what happened to the magician whose knee was broken. Jasper said that Sebastian has been removed from his position and the injury he sustained is currently being treated. Arthur asked if they could determine what exactly happened to his leg. Jasper said that when Sebastian woke up, he was adamant that he was the cause of this injury. Ray asked that how is this even possible? Jasper asked to be allowed to finish and said that although he was the one who said it, but they believe, based on the remaining mana in his package, that the knight's mana interfered with Sebastian's spell. Arthur thought, is it really serious? So it just ended like that. Then they escorted Jasper out. The father gave his son gold coins. Ray said that he had almost died, and besides, he would need money when he started his adventurer's journey. And now he must go to bed and rest a little. Arthur thanked his father and said that he appreciated it very much. Ray was already standing in the doorway and, turning around, told his son that it was a good blow. After that, Arthur returned to his room and thought that, fortunately, the situation with Sebastian was resolved without any problems. But it made him too acutely aware of the fact that in this world he was still just a child. But things will be different when he becomes an adventurer. He took out that mask and thought that maybe with this, he could relax a little. After this incident, everyone gathered together in a diner. Ray asked what and who would it be. Adam, who was sitting next to him, said that, unfortunately, he would have to give up the idea. Babysitting children is not his strong suit, and with his character, their son may one day kill him in his sleep. Everyone presented it and agreed with him. Ray said he was actually hoping that Walker or Helen would accompany Arthur. To be honest, they can't offer much, but Alice and he are more than willing to compensate them for everything they can if they do it for them. Walker told him not to say that. They're all family here, and he'd love to accompany Arthur and watch him grow up. Helen said Walker was right. He should know that they won't do it for the money. In addition, they managed to get quite a lot of treasures from their last raid in the dungeon. But then Jasmine said that she would like to accompany Arthur. Everyone stared at her. Angela asked what about Jasmine, but she hates escort missions even more than Adam. Jasmine said that everything was fine because it was Arthur. Helen said that, to be honest, Jasmine is the most suitable person to protect Arthur. Walker specializes mainly in defensive spells with a huge area of effect, and protection isn't really her strong suit. Alice asked Jasmine if she was sure she could handle it. Jasmine nodded. Adam told her to trust her. Jasmine is the only one among them that has an elementary affinity, and she broke through to the light orange stage last year. So with her wind attribute, she's probably best suited for this mission. Walker said he agreed. What a pity. He doesn't mind traveling in company with Arthur, but there's no point in having any more of them accompany him. Then Ray came up to him and put his hand on his shoulder, said that maybe next time. Walker thanked him. Arthur told Jasmine that it looked like he would be her adventurer. Then they came home. Ellie saw that Lilia was training and got angry at her, saying that it wasn't fair to train without her. Arthur thought it looked like she was able to meditate on her own without his help. Ellie should be able to wake up at the age of 7 or 9 if she really has the patience to meditate. But maybe it's for the best that she didn't wake up too early. He doesn't like the thought of being paid too much attention to her. He turned to his father and asked if they could go to the auction house. He would like to choose a sword, since the last time they were there, he couldn't do it. Ray said that of course. Alice said that both of them didn't stay too long. She was going to start cooking dinner right now. Lilia's father and mother were already waiting for them at the auction house. It was the first time he saw them both after that incident and faced a long chain of questions from them regarding his well-being. He tried his best to assure them that he was fine and he was happy that it was over, but they were extremely unhappy with the king's behavior. In connection with this incident, Vincent said he's betting that firing these two nerds is just a temporary measure until things cool down. It won't be long before they regain their position. Ray said he felt the same way. Arthur said they came here because he needed to find a sword before he went to take the tests to join the Adventurers Guild. Vincent said that, of course, he had almost forgotten about it. It may take him some time to find something that he likes, but he can take his time with it. Then Vincent led them to another room. Arthur and Sylvie's eyes lit up, but after that they were already very disappointed. Arthur thought it was just unreal. So many different types of swords, but none of what he needs. He took the next ball and thought that wasn't it either. It must be because most of the warriors in this world are amplifiers, which is why there are so many huge swords with one-handed and two-handed grip. His search for a reliable sword that he could use with this small body bore little fruit. He was tempted by the desire to surrender and the opportunity to find a more unique weapon during this time. But then he noticed Sylvia, who was looking for something. He went to her and asked if she had found something. After that, it was necessary to get something from under the table. He asked, "What is a stick?" It's not exactly what he was looking for, but Sylvie insisted. So Arthur said okay, even though he doesn't know what she wants him to do with this stick. But as soon as he picked up this stick, he thought it was heavy. The balance of this stick is almost the same as if it were. After which he said it was a sword, but he couldn't get him out of there. He wondered if he really needed to fill it with his mana in order to use it. He continued to test his theory using all the elements at his disposal, but the sword remained in its scabbard. If it's not a specific element that allows you to use it, then what? After which, he looked at the seal that Sylvie had left for him. He thought, no, it can't be. After that, he picked up the sword again, and this time he succeeded. Was he able to pull out the sword? Looking at the translucent turquoise blade of the sword, he couldn't help but think, how beautiful is this weapon, even too much to be considered one. But the sword and the scabbard itself are too heavy for him to use them effectively right now. He saw barrels nearby and mentally apologized to Vincent. Then he chopped up one of the barrels. He looked at the blade of the sword and saw that there was something written there. There was written a ballad about the dawn of VK4. He asked, "What is the ballad about the dawn?" But then the sword burned him. Sylvie, worried, looked at him. Did Arthur say he was fine? But why did this suddenly happen? What's going on? He raised his sword again and was surprised. He wondered if the weight and balance had changed. After that, he tried to train with him again. He was pleasantly surprised and thought that not only had the handle, but the length of the blade itself changed so as to better fit this body. Having access to the finest weapons, he had been holding priceless balls in his hands for decades, but he had never felt so good as now. After that, he cut the barrel again. It turned out to be a clean cut. Although extremely rare, there were cases when skilled craftsmen were able to create staffs and wands that had the ability to bind themselves to only one person. Basically, they will adjust themselves to their host, while improving the circulation of mana between them. But he had never read of any cases where a sword possessed such an ability. And I thought, who is VK4? At that moment his father came to him and together with Vincent. Ray told him it was getting late. Arthur said just a minute. He grabbed the first sword he saw and said this one should fit. He told Silva that yes, she was right. Ray was delighted and said that this way he was able to find what he liked. Arthur said it wasn't as fancy as some of the other swords here, but he realized it suited him after making a few swings with it. Ray picked up this sword and asked Vincent if he knew about it. Vincent said that he had been auctioned several times at one of the small stalls, but no one was interested in him. Ray pulled out this sword and said, "Is that so?" After that, he tried out this sword himself. Vincent asked him what he thought. Ray said he could tell the weight distribution seemed somehow wrong because the creator was trying to make it a light sword for quick attacks. But although for Arthur's size, he thinks it would be very useful. And I returned the sword to him. But then Ray noticed the sword and asked what kind of stick he had there. Arthur told himself that he should behave calmly and be carefree, and said he tripped over it on the way here. It is quite strong and heavy, so he thought it would be a good tool for training. Vincent picked up the stick and said he didn't remember seeing it before, and asked if he could watch. Arthur said that of course. Vincent asked the guy behind him if they had any records of such a cane. The guy said he remembers this stick. One of their merchants told him a rather strange story in some decrepit old man, which he just threw to him, muttering that no one was worthy. They asked several inspectors to check it just in case. It just seems like a sturdy cane, but it's a little weird. Perhaps they will be able to find a more qualified master in order to evaluate it. Arthur said he was sorry if it was something valuable. He just thought it would be nice to have one, and he begged Vincent. He said there was nothing to regret at all. Here she just gets covered in dust, so why doesn't he just take her with him? Arthur thanked him, and he thought that success. And Vincent himself was very happy that Arthur called him uncle. It was Arthur's birthday. Everyone gathered on the street to congratulate him. Arthur thanked everyone for putting up with him during this year. Alice said she couldn't believe he was already 9. Vincent told her that no memories until after their little holiday. Then he clapped, and the waiters began to take out different dishes. Sylvie really liked it. Tabitha said it wasn't a museum. They should be standing there doing nothing, and they'd better start eating. A lot of different photos were taken during this day. Everyone was having a lot of fun. They were playing some kind of game. Adam told Walker it was his turn. He has to remember the time when his pants caught fire, and he had to go back to town covering his bare ass. Walker was very embarrassed and said, "Come on." Then Jasmine called out to Adam and told him that he seemed to have forgotten how the horned mole had crept right under him when he was relieving himself in the dungeon. And for as long as she remembers, he was so scared that he jumped up, landed on his back and wet himself like a fountain. Everyone laughed out loud. Adam blushed and said he thought they were all asleep. After that, everyone moved into the living room. Ray said that now that they had finished dinner and Adam was completely humiliated, they needed to move on to gifts. Parents one approached Arthur and, handing him a gift, congratulated him once again on his birthday, and said that it was from his mom and dad. Ellie said it was from her, too. Arthur asked his sister that she wanted to open it together, didn't she? Ellie climbed onto his couch and nodded her head. Then they opened his gift together. Arthur liked him very much. Alice said that it was made of the skin of a bison with thorns, which his father hunted. She put a small healing spell in each of these 3 stones. The spell in each stone can only be used once, but she thought it would be nice to have some precautions when he goes on a mission. Arthur put on this glove and said it was just beautiful. He hugged his parents and said that he liked her and thanked them for the gift. Vincent said they were next. He got down on one knee and opened a small box containing 2 rings. But then his wife came up and, hitting him on the head, said that it was enough to tease the boy. Vincent said okay, no one here has any love for the show. In any case, he turned to Arthur, said that this ring was for him and this one was for Alice. Tabitha told Alice that while Arthur was wearing his ring, the jewel on her ring would sparkle if his mom's level drops to a critical level. Unfortunately, the rings can't do more than that, but they thought it would bring her some peace of mind. Alice hugged her and thanked her for this gift. After that, she turned to everyone and said a huge thank you to them. Arthur began to carefully examine this ring and thought that this ring looked more like a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it could save his family from constant worry about him, but it can also keep her in constant suspense, waiting for trouble. Adam asked her comrades what and how would they overcome it. After that, he turned to Arthur's parents and said that since their son was already so damn strong, they thought in the same direction as the Halscha family. After that, Walker approached Arthur and handed him a gift. Adam said that since this little monster didn't need anything, they thought the whole family would appreciate it. Arthur unfolded this scroll. Adam said they were communication scrolls. He will not go into detail about how expensive they were, because they were so damn expensive. But then Jasmine hit him on the leg. Adam said that somehow now they have a monotonous source of communication, which, it seems to him, fits perfectly with their new rings. Arthur should just pour mana into the scroll and write down the message. As soon as Mom receives the message, she will be able to reply once, and after confirming that the message will be passed to Arthur, both scrolls will turn into ashes. Ray said it was very spectacular and amazing. He turned to his son and said that tomorrow was a big day. Surely he's excited, isn't he? Alice hugged her son and told him to promise that he would be safe. It doesn't matter what rank he gets or how rich he can become. It should just stay intact. Arthur said that of course, and he will return home at every opportunity. After that, they escorted the guests home. Arthur was already lying in his bed and thought that he had felt it for some time. But when he fell asleep, he really knew it. Now he has a family. He has people who love him. It's a feeling he would never give up. He will cherish it, fight for it if he has to, and for this he needs to become stronger, even stronger than when he was king. Morning came, and Arthur was hurrying Sylvie. She had to take a bath again, but she didn't like it very much. Arthur asked her that shouldn't she have gotten used to it by now. So she's also using magic now, isn't she? That's all, she asked for it. Then he tossed it up, and she fell right into the tub of water. After some time, they were completely assembled, and Arthur went down. His parents and sister were already waiting for him there. Ray told him to just look at himself. He already looks like an S-class adventurer. He knows that he is strong, but he should not become self-confident and know his limits. And when it gets tough, he has to trust Jasmine. Arthur said it was fine, but then Ellie shouted that she wasn't and grabbed her brother by the arm. Ellie asked if he and Sylvie were really leaving. Can't they stay? Alice began to calm her daughter and said that Sylvie and her brother had returned before she had time to look back. Ellie said no, she wanted them to stay here. She wants them here now. Arthur scowled that he knows she's already a big girl. He has an important assignment for her. Can she protect Mom and Dad while they're gone? Ellie hugged her brother and said that she had been training a lot. She has a lot of little lights now, she can protect them. Arthur hugged his sister and thought that he had missed so much of his sister's life and knew that his short stay here was not enough. But in order to protect them all, he needs to take this step. After that, Alice came up to him and hugged her son. Told him not to look at her with such an expression on his face. She'll be fine. Rise said they would be fine. Ellie hugged Sylvie and told her not to be naughty. Alice told her son to go now, and let him not forget to put on the ring. Arthur told her not to worry and showed her the hand that already had this ring on it. He was about to open the door, but then his father told him that they would always cheer for him. Then Arthur left. Jasmine was already waiting for him on the street. She asked him if he was ready. Arthur put on a mask and said they had to go. After that, they arrived at the Adventurers Guild. They went inside and there were a lot of people there. One of the guys shouted that he was looking for a spellcaster with a fire affinity of at least a rank. Sylvie finally got out of his backpack and was able to breathe normally. Jasmine said his mana beast looks different. Arthur said that he recently found out that she can change her appearance a little in order to look exactly like a black lizard without attracting too much attention to herself. They walked up to the front desk. The woman greeted them and said that welcome to the Guild of Adventurers of Xyrus. How can she help? Arthur wanted to say something, but Jasmine interrupted him. She put a piece of paper in front of the woman and said that she would like to be a sponsor for him in the ranking exam. The woman pressed some button and said that of course. Then the door opened and she went out and told them to follow him. The woman said that today they have a lot of people who want to take part in the exam. But due to the fact that there is a sponsor, they will place them closer to the front of the queue so that they do not have